Hi, and welcome to Rough Cuts. Today we're going to be talking about a quick, simple, easy way to fix cuts, scratches, dents, and even notches that are in your woodworking projects or in your woodworking pieces before you even start the project. Now, this may be something that's controversial to woodworking purists, maybe old news to other people. If it's something that you might find useful, stick around and I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is we're going to look at how to fix major damage like this. Now you can see this is a piece of 3/4 inch plywood. It's good on this side, but there's a big chunk missing here. Now we could cut around this, we could use this part here and this part here, but there are some instances where we need this entire piece. Or for example, if your wood project's already finished and this happens after you've assembled everything, then there's no real way of working around that. This is where Bondo comes in. Now I know what a lot of you are going to say. You're going to say, well, Bondo is used for fixing cars, damage to cars. But actually, Bondo makes an amazing wood filler. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Okay, so now let's talk about what I did here. The first thing I did is I mixed the Bondo as per the can instructions with the hardener and the Bondo itself. And I'm working in a well-ventilated area with gloves on to minimize skin irritation. What I did is I took the putty knife, mixed it together, and then applied a liberal amount to the damage that's on the wood, smoothing it out so that it's even with both sides. We want to do this to minimize the amount of work we have to do later with the sanding. And even though Bondo has about a 20 to 30 minute cure time till it becomes very hard, we still want to make sure that there's less sanding for us to do in the end. Okay, so what I did is I sanded this down until the Bondo was flush with the sides where the damage is. And I used 120 grit sandpaper on my orbital sander. The nice thing about this is that you can use higher or lower grit sandpaper depending on how bad the damage is and how smooth you want to get this. I would recommend wearing some kind of face protection because the dust from the Bondo can be quite bad, and the last thing you want to do is breathe that in. Now the next step is ready for painting. So we're done painting the damaged area, and I think it looks pretty good. If you look really closely, you can still see some of the damaged area. And if this were going on the inside of a workpiece, I wouldn't worry about it. I'd leave it as is because Bondo is rock hard. Whereas if it were something that were going on the outside, what I might do is before I paint it, I'd add another layer of Bondo and then sand it down. Or I'd actually make it so the Bondo raised a tiny bit above the wood itself, so that when I sanded it down, it would be parallel with either side of the wood that I'm working with. But if this were going on the inside, this is good enough. Okay, so Bondo is great for bigger damage, larger gaps or holes that we're trying to fill in to a woodworking piece that we have and then that we're going to paint later on. But sometimes we have an issue with smaller holes. I have a big problem with my brad nailer that when I use the brad nails, there's a bit of a recess, a little bit of a hole where the nail goes in. And if that's on the outside of a piece, that's going to be really visible. So let's take a look at how we can fix that really quickly and really easily. The go-to product for smaller damage like holes left by brad nails is Drydex. Now I know this stuff is used for drywall holes, and it won't harden as strong as Bondo does, but it will harden to the point where you can paint over it And the nice thing about it is that Drydex itself is pink and turns white when dry. So let's take a look at how we can use this, and I'll show it in action. So what I did is I took my brad nailer and I took a hole punch and I just made some damage, some small dents. You can see some holes from the brad nails themselves in there. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna fill this. There's an easy way of filling this, and you can just do it with your hands. What you do is you take a healthy amount of the Drydex, you rub it into the hole itself. And the nice thing about this is you can just take your finger and wipe it right off. And this will dry very quickly. You can see parts of it are already turning white. So we're going to give this a minute, and we'll take some light sandpaper, buff this off, and then we're good for painting. So we sanded it, and I used a 220 grit sandpaper. You want to use something kind of fine because the Drydex itself comes off very easily. And then we painted it, and all the holes are gone. No damage whatsoever. So this is a really quick and easy way to fill in brad nail holes or smaller dings and damage that comes to the outside, something where it's visible, something where you can see the damage and you want to make sure it gets covered up. Okay guys, I hope you found those tips useful, and please comment, let me know what you guys think. Have you tried this before? Have you used it? Did it work? Did it fail? Do you have better ideas? Comment down below, let me know what you think. I'll try and reply to every comment, and click that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.